All right, guys. Today we are gonna be reacting to Andrew gets lectured by OF girl, but it backfired for them. Let's jump in.
Total. I have slept with 32 men.
Okay, so 32 men.
Damn.
Now, out of the 32 men,
Yo, remember the rule? You have to multiply that by 3.
right? Some of these, I assume, are casual.
Yes.
You're casually hooking up with 5'5" dudes
Yes.
over the 6' dudes.
Because height doesn't matter to me. It does not, like, okay, I'm being for real. Height does not matter to me. As
Okay.
long it's just your age. If you're younger than me, then that's my biggest pet peeve.
But you did conveniently marry someone 6'2".
It was because actually he's 6'2". He's not 6'2". He's between 6 foot to never mind. You know what?
What the hell? What just happened?
I don't know.
What the hell just happened?
Why is that
Okay,
important?
so
It's way too early to have a meltdown in this show. Okay, yeah, that's way too early for that. So back up
You know
for
what,
me.
so- Cheers.
let me drink really quick.
Okay.
So I
I
guess
think you
going
need to
back-
fortify yourself for this.
So no.
Yes.
The average height that I would normally date a guy is between 5'5" to 6'5". Okay, that's like, but
That
that's
is-
the maximum.
that's not
But
an
the
average?
Is 5'10". The average is 5'10".
Okay, that makes sense. So if the average is around 5'10",
Yes.
5'10" is much taller than you.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing is like, why don't you just want guys your own size? Because you have some kind of preference?
Because no, they got.
Because you
they
got some kind of preference?
No, they have big. What is it? Big man, small man syndrome or something, or big
What?
dog.
Why'd you look at me
And
for
you
that
have,
one?
hang on. And you have some kind of preference against that, right?
No, because
Oh,
some.
small dog syndrome, is that what you're
Yeah,
gonna
like
say?
some-
There we go. Yes, your sister who's coming in because Andrew's about to wreck her. You notice that? Notice that? Let's just go back to that.
Preference against that, right?
No, because
Oh,
some.
small dog syndrome, is that what you're gonna
Yeah,
say?
see, they trying to deviate the conversation over here. So the energy is right here between Andrew and the lady. They're trying to get that energy here. You see how she's looking at her? Lady in the middle is looking at the lessee or by whatever here on the bottom right corner.
Small dog
Yes,
Then
you're
you
right.
and you have a preference against that.
I don't have a preference against
Then
that.
why
It's
aren't you
just
dating guys with small dog syndrome?
Because it's just their attitude.
Then you have a preference against that attitude.
Wait, can I?
And so if
There
you
we
have
go,
a
see?
preference-
Alright.
Yeah, so if you have a
That's
preference against that
interesting.
attitude,
Okay,
you
but what-
prefer
okay.
to not have it,
So-
then all you're saying,
Come on,
you're just making the same argument the guy is, where he's like, look, I just prefer to be with chicks that have a lower body count.
But okay, so when you're talking about preferences, like,
Things I like, just things I like. That's it.
okay, but what?
Okay, so do you like pizza?
Yeah. I like
Okay,
pizza.
what are the toppings you hate?
I don't hate any toppings.
Not one.
Not one. I could eat pizza.
Anchovies?
I could eat anchovies. Yeah. I'm
Okay, let's try it a different way. What's your favorite toppings?
My favorite topping would have to be cheese.
Okay. So you prefer
No.
your pizzas to have cheese?
Well, don't all pizzas have cheese?
No.
Ah, this is disingenuous, see? Now she's being completely disingenuous, right? She's literally said, my favorite pizza is cheese. Then she said, no, doesn't all pizzas have cheese? Now she's being disingenuous because she knows what's going on. This is what happened with female with experience, right? They become slick with the language.
So you've had.
You can have a
pizza?
cheese-free pizza.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
No,
but
I'm gonna
anyway,
try.
but this
Just be sauce and bread.
This is, I mean, that's what like lactose intolerant people get, right?
Oh.
Or they get fake cheese or something like
Yeah.
this. But you have a preference for it, or some type of food. There's some type of food that you like a certain way, like a sandwich. What type of sandwich meat do you hate? Are you gonna love all that too? Is there
wait,
just nothing you won't eat?
Because I'm an eater. I'm a Taurus.
Okay.
So you gotta understand.
Okay, well,
I like food.
okay, Taurus. What's a food you hate?
What is a mushrooms?
Okay, you hate mushrooms, so you have a preference against
I have
mushrooms.
a preference against
Now,
mushrooms.
mushrooms won't kill you to eat them, right?
No, they won't.
Yeah, I just don't like how they taste.
Not. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's a preference. It's just an I
Yeah,
like.
but
So
like-
when you're talking about relationships and guys, you're just talking about I likes, I dislike. I like this, I
but
like
that's
this, I like
just
this.
so mean to just be like.
What do you mean it's mean?
If a guy were to come up to me and like says, let's just, for example, like I said, if my body count is 32, right?
Yeah.
And there's a girl that has like
Yo,
maybe.
that's high, man. 32, that's high. My God. She really don't understand this. That's very high. 32, because this is what she's saying. The ones that she's counting, though. See, this is the one that she is counting.
like what 3 to 5,
Yeah.
and then he chooses the girl that has less than me, and then I ask him, okay, why did you pick that
It makes you
girl?
feel bad.
It does make
Yeah,
me feel
it
bad.
makes you feel bad.
Well, yeah, it makes me feel bad because it's just like,
But
well,
what is he doing that's wrong other than making you feel bad?
well, one, my feelings. because-
Yeah.
Ah, exactly.
Well, my
Exactly.
feelings,
Yeah,
but
there we
also,
go.
Too, like,
So it's your feelings.
but also too, it's like monkey see, monkey do type thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a high body count as a man and I have a high body count as a woman, like, and we're both having, intercourse with different people, why does my body count is disregarded in your preferences?
Because you don't like it. Just like you don't like mushrooms.
But
I have a
It's
question
just
for
a- it's
Andrew
just
though.
a
Do you feel like
preference.
there's an actual difference? Like, could you tell someone's body count before they actually tell you? Because I feel like people lie.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell. You cannot really tell, but you have an idea. For example, you can tell a lot of most of these females, they have body counts, right? Very high body counts. And this one right here, the Leslie, the body count goes to above 20 or 30 or 40. I would say both. And you can tell. The reason one thing that you can tell is their conversation skills, right? That's one. The question, the way, because when they test you a lot, that means that they're becoming more difficult, right? They have to. They go through a lot of experience. They go through a lot of trauma. They go through a lot of these guys that are the 1%ers. And these guys, they know the game. So they had to, develop certain mechanism of defense. So they become like this, very defensive, very masculine. Also, they're in OF as well. So this is a real sign that their body count will be, in this case, is worse because you're selling yourself now. So your body count, by definition, just tripled. Your body's being shown to the entire world. So your value as a woman is literally zero. The value as a human is always important, right? Value as a human is very important. We protect human life, right? We give them dignity. But your value as a woman is very low in the sexual marketplace. So low that it's almost impossible to recover from that. Let me just say that. Almost impossible. Even the guy that you will end up with, you will resent him.
Lie about that
I mean,
sort of
maybe
thing all
not.
the time.
Maybe not
So-
with a lot of people.
So then, like, I just am curious, like, how that preference works, other than like a societal impact. I
That's
guess.
just a revulsion. So it's
Yeah.
like, here's an idea. Have you ever
Kinda like a
eaten?
turn-off.
Have you ever eaten dog shit?
I would not like to.
Yeah, why not?
It's a preference.
Because it's revolting.
Yeah, but I also.
But wait a second. Couldn't somebody put dog shit in a cake and you wouldn't know it?
I mean,
So you could accidentally eat dog shit.
what
That's
an
what they did in
interesting
the house.
analogy.
Wait a second. You could accidentally.
you
hang
would
on. I
taste
just want
it.
an answer. You could accidentally eat dog shit.
Yeah.
You could, and that
Dude,
would
it could
suck.
happen.
Hang on, that would suck, right? So you're saying you could be tricked because you don't know.
Yeah.
But you're still, if you knew
You'd
that
be
there
like,
was dog shit, you wouldn't eat the cake, would you?
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, but also like I wanted to say just super quick, and then we can go back. But when you're talking about like men's height versus like women's body count, men don't have control over their height. They're just born that way. They grow, they stop growing, and then but women and men have control over their body count. So it's kind of hard to compare those two.
You have control. Wait.
You have control over it with how many people you sleep
But do you
with.
have control over the things you prefer?
No, but I that's why
Then what-
I
then I don't
checked
understand the
yes and
argument.
no on the box because I feel like is it hypocritical?
But
Yeah.
you don't believe that people
But is it
have-
wrong? No, you can't force somebody to date
There's no.
somebody.
Wait. It's not hypocrisy.
I mean, a little bit.
Not
It
even a little
is.
bit. No. Hypocrisy. People get this wrong all the. I don't know
What- so
why.
what- so if-
but what hypocrisy is I'm advocating for a thing of which I'm guilty, right? While telling you, right, the person that you cannot
like
do
he
said.
just-
Hang on. So if you were to say you having a body count is wrong, even though I have the same body count, right? But that's not wrong. That would be hypocrisy. Me saying, though, I have a high body count and prefer women with a lesser body count is not hypocrisy.
Okay.
Hypocrisy
But do you prefer
would
it
be
because you think it's revolting?
yeah. So imagine it this way.
But you don't think yourself is revolting.
Yeah. Hang on. Imagine it this way. Let's say there's a fat person on a treadmill. They know they're fat. They know they're fat, and so they're trying to lose weight, right? They're on the treadmill, and they look over at somebody else, and they say, "Hey, you're fat. You should lose weight." They're not a hypocrite. There's no hypocrisy there. The hypocrisy would be if they say, "Hey, you're fat," right? And I'm not. That would be like hypocrisy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be like condescending than
It would be both.
that's
But people get hypocrisy wrong all the time. They think that hypocrisy is being guilty of the thing which you're condemning. That's not actually what it is. It's the belief that the thing in which you're condemning is actually fine. There's like a pretense of pretending with hypocrisy.
So technically, a man with a higher body count who prefers a woman with a low body count is a hypocritical man, and he prefers to be.
No,
Wait,
he's
no,
not
but what's
hypocritical.
interesting
Just
though?
explain.
He's not a hypocrite. There's no hypocrisy.
We're not going to get anywhere with this line of questioning, but I do wonder. I feel
How do you
like
know?
because we've been talking about the same thing for 10 minutes, but I'm not the host, so who am I? However, I
It's
am
been a good
curious.
conversation. You're wrecking
I am
it.
curious.
You're wrecking the whole conversation.
Do you, I'm sorry.
Go
forgive
ahead.
me.
Go ahead.
But I am curious because I feel like you don't often see that perspective coming from women, of women with high body counts saying, I want a man with a lower body count. So I just am curious why you think that is.
Oh,
It's because females are not attracted to that. It's just so simple, man. But they make it difficult because, again, they don't want to give you the impression that they are like that. That they're not that. They want to defend themselves. They want it to appear that they're not. How can I say this? It's not bad because there's nothing wrong. Let me just put it this way. There's nothing wrong with females liking guys with a high body count. They love that. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. What is wrong is the game that they play, that they think that they don't know. Guy find it repulsive, disgusting. Ugh. But females find it attractive. Because if a lot of females are attracted to the same, that guy, that means that guy's genes have something. And from a female perspective, I want that gene. And this is a mechanism to just make sure their next genes can survive, because that person might have certain skills that are going to be required for the next generation. But somehow we just still discussing this.
It's actually really simple. So the idea of paternity is something which men only recently could be assured of. Mm-hmm. So the idea that I know that the kid that you have is mine, we can now know. But that's a very new technology. Before that, how could you know if the child was yours?
So then would that only apply to situations where you're trying to like date someone to marry? It wouldn't apply to like a normal hookup? You might
No, that's all new tech.
Mm-hmm.
These are all new technologies.
Okay.
So here's the idea. The idea is if you were sleeping with a woman before she's your wife, or even she's not your wife, how could you assure paternity absent a paternity test?
By having, I guess, her only sleep with one person.
Only
but that
one
implies
person.
that you're having a child with every woman you
hang
sleep
on.
with.
So this would imply that there could be a revulsion mechanism.
Okay.
A revulsion mechanism around the idea that if a woman is promiscuous, that you could not be assured paternity, and so there's an internal revulsion which happens.
Okay, so you're saying
Yeah.
it's gonna pass down.
What
You
if
think like
there's, like, a
it's
genetic-
generational?
Well, I think it's biological.
Okay.
It's a biological way to create an assurance for paternity.
Interesting.
So I have a question. So basically, like, what do you think about if a girl is like let's say she's like 40 or 50 and like she wants to remarry and a guy cares, or like let's just say she's 35. She's been with 6 people, but she's had 6 boyfriends.
Sure.
She's been in 6 relationships where she wanted to get married. Maybe a guy cheated on her. Maybe they weren't compatible. Like, but she wasn't promiscuous. Then what is that difference than someone who's 3 or 2?
Well, so it's interesting because
Also, it just tell you that the person, if you have a low body count, that means that she can control. She's more likely to control her impulses. Also, person that has a high body count, that means that she's not likely to control her impulses, and most likely cheated as well.
these red pillars, these are like online red pillars who everybody hates. They're like, yeah, call everybody whores, and they actually really don't. They actually try to dive into exactly these ideas. Mm-hmm. So the idea, let's say you had a woman who had elongated relationships. Maybe she only had 2 or 3, right? And they were long-term relationships. Well, that would signify something completely different than a woman who's promiscuous, even if the body count's a little higher, right? So even if, let's say it's 5 and 50 years, right? That's one partner per 10 years.
Right.
That's going to be a way different story than, well, not to pick on you, right? But, 50 or 60 partners in a year. That's going to signify a promiscuity issue, right?
And that's also like dangerous to like, our bodies, like I feel like to an extent you should care who you're sleeping with and how many people they're sleeping with. And I think that you can change your mind, and maybe that's okay if men do want to change their mind. Like I think that
What?
And they do.
Yeah.
And the thing is like this happens. It's not like there's not, you know, porn stars out there
I
who
just
don't
mean,
get
like,
Mr.
judging-
Wonderful. They do. Some of them do, but mostly they don't.
Yeah.
And also the idea here is that men do find it. They do find it repugnant. They do find it repulsive. Where you think that it's a double standard, that could be true. Right? Society does judge promiscuous men differently than promiscuous
Yeah.
women, but that's because of women.
Yeah.
Women judge them differently than men do too.
That's so true.
Yeah,
Oh
women
my
judge
God.
each other more than
But
any man
think
ever
about
will.
this. But think about
Last
why that.
podcast, I
but
felt
think
really
about
judged.
why that would be. Why that would be the case. It's because you're always assured paternity.
Yeah.
Like you always know who the baby's dad's going to be. They don't know.
Wait.
So it's not as built in for you to have
Yeah.
that revulsion.
I just meant more so like if it's just down to a number, right? Like saying 3 versus like 10. Like but if it was you're again 35 and you've been in 10 relationships, where I feel like there should be some kind
sure,
of like
But every situation is going to be different. When you ask for like a hard cutoff, I don't even think we need to give one. Just make it easy, right?
right.
Everything after 1 is worse than 1. Everything after 0 is worse than 0. It's pretty simple, right? So it's like, well, what's the cutoff? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5?
Right.
Who gives a shit? Ultimately, everything after 0 is worse than 0.
Yeah,
everything
very good
after
point.
1 is worse than 1.
Good.
Everything after 2 is worse than 2, right?
Would that mean the probabilities of you staying in the relationship goes down, right? And the reason is because her ability to the pair bonding is drastically reduced, guys. Pair bonding is the most important attribute that a woman has to make sure she will be faithful for the relationship. If she already wasted that, her chances of to be with you even after marriage it's almost I would say it's less than 5%. It's less than 5%. It's very low. And if you want to bet that, go for it. But that's what happens. Like Rowan cannot control emotionally. Impulses are all over the place. The pair bonding is not all the same. And also, you have to understand, you will be thinking about her ex-boyfriends as well.
You only really need to think of it that way. What other way do we even need to think of it?
Don't think of it.
But the thing is like, men do think of it.
Well, and it also matters because, like, if you're someone who's had, like, relations with a lot of people, like, and I don't know, maybe you're someone who doesn't get tested regularly or something, and you get with some other person, they could contract something. You know, you don't want someone who's been sleeping around with a bunch of people who you don't know where they've been.
The only problem I kind of take with this, you're right, don't get me wrong, totally right. It's just that it comes from a female perspective. So you kind of think about things from the perspective of women.
Well, I am a woman, so that would make sense.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, my challenge is to say to you, instead take yourself out of the female perspective, put yourself in the male perspective.
Yep.
Right? You will always be assured of paternity. You always know it's your kid. You will always know that. We don't have that luxury, right? At least historically, we never did. Only right now do we have that luxury.
Well,
and
and it's
women, in
expensive.
fact, beat men up for asking to get a paternity test, even though they themselves have absolute knowledge, right?
it be
And
more
it's like so. Look at it from the perspective of the man for a
Yep.
second.
I
Wouldn't
actually
it
have
be
a friend who's
moral
going
thing,
through that
though?
right now.
Like, wouldn't
Of
like
course you are.
I just to
Of course you
challenge
are.
it, like, it doesn't come down to like if you're like a slut, like or not. Like if you're sleeping around and you wouldn't know versus you're only with that person and you're exclusive and you haven't been with someone since your last relationship. I mean, just in my personal, I guess, views are that it's just different. Like that, I feel like.
But are you relaying those views to you personally? Because this has something to do with your own personal situation. Are you?
Maybe a little bit, but
Little
I
bit. There
I
you go.
think that-
See, there you go.
Isn't it
Exposed.
interesting, right? It's like,
Right.
think of the question here, though. Take yourself out, put yourself in the man's shoes. Instead, relays right back to me, my own personal situation.
Yep.
Then I'll relay it back to the man. It's like, forget all that. Just create a blank slate for a second, right? Tomorrow you wake up and you're a male, right? Let's look at it from men's perspectives now. If you sleep with a woman, how are you assured paternity? How are you assured that the child is yours? What would be the signs you would look for?
That would frustrate me.
Yeah, it's hard to think about that.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's super hard to think
Yeah,
about,
there you
right?
go.
As a woman, I always
That's a close
would say
deal.
is
There
like,
you go.
oh, well, just don't sleep bunch of
Right,
women.
exactly.
Just use a condom,
you just say,
so
well, don't sleep with a bunch of
Right.
women or a bunch of men, and then
Yeah,
and then
there you go. That's how you close the deal. That's how you close the deal. Bring it back. Do a takeaway. Bring it back. Take control of the conversation and close it. That's it. I don't think this is, and I don't think, and this is a big problem, guys, because I don't think I don't know, this is on purpose that we do this, but we never take the male perspective in a lot of these conversations. And we take the man perspective or the man experience for granted. And this is bad for society, because when men don't feel that they're being listened to, they become school practice targets. Let's put it that way. They become delete buttons. They become, these kind of things are very dangerous. And we have to give men a purpose. I have a theory, by the way. I think we need some kind of transition. I think I mentioned this in a couple episodes before. A transition that will probably give men an opportunity to simply transition them from teenager to adulthood. And I would just suggest at least 6 months of intense physical training to make sure they can just overcome that boy. All right? Put them in a situation, well, okay, you're now in high school, or by law, you're 17. Before you become 18th, you have to go through 3 to 6 months of intense training, whatever that entails. And that's going to require, certain push-ups, certain pull-ups. We need to make sure that our kids become men, right? And that way they can lead, right? Because currently they're in a weak state. Their mind is not even programmed to even be men. And you see them a lot. The Peter Pan syndrome. And Jordan Peterson talk about this quite often. And it makes sense. They never go through a process of endurance. Not everybody's in sport. Not everybody is in martial art. Not everybody is through a period of endurance. And I think that could really help develop more leaders in this world. And maybe that can create a different differentiation between men and female. That's my point on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like always, I'll see you in the next one.